Good evening, everybody. This is Dana B. with Charlie M. and Scotty S. and the Mountain Council. We're here from the Mountain Patriots. This is our Monday meeting. We usually do this in our little clubhouse, but because of the weather and so forth, we decided we would do some Zoom meetings. And the fact that we can also get to the reach out there a little bit bigger right now, especially with a lot that's going on. So first off, I want to welcome everybody. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, keep yourself on mute. If you have a question, raise your hand. Remember that we're recording this, so as we always tell people, be nice. Remember that don't say anything that you wouldn't want your mom to hear. Okay? That means you, Charlie. All right?
Yeah, potty mouth.
You ought to hear Charlie and I during the day. I was just kidding you.
Mhm.
But we will again start in-person meetings again in March. A lot of people like to pay their dues, or make donations to us in person. So we'll be doing those meetings, and then we'll be able to have our supplies and our prepping things and so forth out there. So before I start, you can see my flag behind me. I'm going to do the prayer, and then we'll do the pledge. This is the Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries pledge prayer. If you'll join me. Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful world and the country that you've given us, and the patriots who are willing to care for it. Thank you, Lord, for inspiring our founders to create this beautiful republic, and please help us to keep it as the inspiring place to live. Please give us your wisdom to do the right things, the common sense to judge wisely, the energy to never give up, and your unending grace in which we take comfort. In your name we pray. Amen.
Man.
All right. We're going to do the pledge, and then we'll read the credo. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the
And to the
republic
republic
which it
For which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty and
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
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 for
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 all.
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 What a great republic. Charlie and I are going to
Amen.
cover we're going to cover what we covered today with a constitutional scholar. So you guys are in for a treat tonight. This is our Mountain Patriots, written by the entire Mountain Patriots group membership credo and our purpose and mission statement. Mountain Patriots is a group of USA loving, constitutional, conservative American citizens dedicated to saving, serving, and preserving our county, state, and country. We believe that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and we are bound by those beliefs. Our credo: we assist with support, safety, and security of our neighbors in Frederick County and abroad. Our mission our mission is to build a caring, freedom loving, compassionate cadre of citizens with patriotic and positive attitudes and a willingness to share their time, effort, and sacred honor. Our vision: we, the Mountain Patriots, are committed to be the patriotic and peaceful examples of we, the people. We operate within the moral principles of the United States Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights as derived from the biblical worldview of our founders, and do so in our community and communities across the Commonwealth of Virginia and the country. Our aim is to take back and preserve Virginia for we, the people. We help support individuals and their families to emotionally, spiritually, and physically survive and thrive in our community. We strive to motivate an engaged electorate to be sufficiently involved in our governing bodies and hold those governing bodies accountable in their performance of those duties that we have granted to them. Our strategy: it is our commitment to help families in need and to educate and activate our community through conferences, community meetings, a variety of educational, training, and informational videos, newsletters, podcasts, new podcasts, and preparedness training with a Christian worldview. We accomplish our goals for our community through contributions along with volunteers from our group and our community. Our guiding principles: we will be vigilant, we will be trustworthy, we will be prepared, we will be reverent, be respectful, be kind, and most of all, we will be nice. All right. So we've got a lot to cover. I even put a little bit of time in here in the middle of this for discussion because I figured people would be like, oh man, I wish I'd said something when they were talking about that. So I'll start with this. Guys, last week I was sick, so bear with me. My voice is still a little bit raspy. I got up on Tuesday on went I felt bad Tuesday night, got up, did continuing education on ethics. It was ethics, money laundering, fraud, and identity theft. What perfect classes to be taking. Okay. I was blown away by the stuff that we actually do. But I'm a little bit still under the weather. I'm about 80%. So I wasn't on top of my game as I usually am, but pretty close. So, real quick on my Dana report, and Bill will probably talk about this in a little bit. I'm going to let him say a couple words here. And there was some stuff that happened last week at, if I'm not mistaken, the Planning Commission inside Winchester, and they haven't had the Pledge of Allegiance in the commission, and they took a vote on having whether or not they were going to have the Pledge of Allegiance there, and they voted it down. And I'm thinking, all of us are sitting here thinking, okay, well, if you don't pledge allegiance to this country, who in the heck are you pledging allegiance to? Okay, so that goes back into our credo and our charter on what we say about we're going to keep our county officials and our people that we voted for accountable to us, we the people. And Charlie's going to cover, we're going to cover a little bit more about this and what we're doing with the Constitution of the state of Virginia. So that was at the Winchester Planning Committee. Now, I'm going to shift gears a little bit and talk about the budget. You're going to hear a lot about this in the next couple of weeks. We have got to be on board with this. The county needs between $35 and $42 million. Okay, the school board itself wants $18 million. When I was doing some research on the county, I figured out, as I discussed last week, that we spend about $17.5 per student. And I understand it's a public school and there's special ed and there's buses and so forth, but a private school has a better rate and everything else about it than a public school. And I'm not knocking public schools, but I'm looking at the cost of 17.5 as opposed to 85, 86, 8,700. Okay, and I think that there's some things that we can do there. And we want to make sure that the public school system does well. But I think there's got to be ways that we can fix a few things in there. So we'll be working on that. In 2024, Frederick County's budget was $239,545,000. Okay. In 2026, it went up 16.7 million. 16.7 million. But I'll tell you something, the Biden administration did such a phenomenal job of keeping those costs low for us. Okay. So it went up 16.7 million to 256.3 million. In 2026, this is this year, and our year starts in July and runs through June 30th, it's almost 268 million. Okay. Now, I've been talking to a lot of people in the county, believe it or not, even without a voice. And what I am hearing, the word on the street is that all of the departments are trying to cut their budgets by about 5%. And then there's some proposed personal property proposals that are out there of moving our taxes from $4.23, adding 12 cents to that, to $4.35. And I know nobody likes to hear the word taxes, but we all have to work together as a community to try to figure out how we can bring revenue into this county, and we can work as a group and as a community to get not only the taxes down, but there's a lot of people that could actually throw some effort into this thing, and we can find other sources of revenue as well. How do we hire? How do we end up with new businesses and so forth? So that's a big chunk. Our real property taxes is going to go from 48 cents. They took it down by taking it out of our capital fund. So that was really nice, but now we're out of money again. So the proposed additional is 5 cents. but we'll know soon. That'll be published, from what I understand, in March. And a lot of this, all this stuff is public knowledge. It was proposed at the work meeting. The county needs money. I'm not, and I'm going to start by saying I'm not here to bash anybody, any of our public officials. And I'll tell you why. A lot of this stuff happened 20, 21, 22, 23 years ago. Okay. Did we screw up along the way? Probably. Could we have done a high score earlier? I don't know. But a lot of us weren't paying attention 5 years ago, 6 years ago. We weren't. So most of the blame is we the people. Our philosophy is, okay, I'm going to vote for Charlie Margaret for president, and he's going to fix everything, and I'm going to go to work, I'm going to go on vacation, and by the way, Charlie, make sure I get a raise, okay? And I need some more money, and I want all this free stuff, and I want this, and I want that, and I want free health care, and I want free food, but I don't want my
Okay.
taxes to go up. And if you don't fix it for me, Charlie, it's your fault. That's not the American way. It is we the people, they work for us. And if they run roughshod over us, it's because we didn't pay attention.
I think you got me mixed up with Spamberger.
Yeah, I was just joking with you. Right, Charlie. Well, you're prettier than Spamberger. I'm telling you. Look at Charlie. I'm telling you. So the real property will go up 5 cents, but we won't know till March. The county needs money. The Board of Supervisors, let's give them a break and let's see what we can do to work with the Board of Supervisors to figure out what we can do as a community. Okay? But that means that we have to watch what they're doing, they watch what we're doing, and we all work together. Now, a lot to figure out. They're talking about data centers. That's the hot topic around here, as is the casinos. There's a couple other things that they're looking at to bring revenue in here. So, when it came to the data center, what we did back in August of last year, Mountain Patriots heard the cry. And we were like, okay, well, I said, Charlie, why don't we do a think tank? What's a think tank? Well, I don't know. We get a bunch of us together that has some pretty good ideas, and we'll figure out the pluses and minuses. We'll figure out the solutions to our problems, and then look at the problem. So we looked at everything from solution to problem, and I helped put the group together. Charlie, Dan, and Leslie did most of the heavy lifting on that, but they put together in a 13-week period a complete paper on the data centers. And that's been distributed all over the place. It was at Small Business Freedom Alliance. We can get you a copy of it. So the problem is people who yell, scream, and stomp. We started out with a bunch of people to start with at our think tank, and we ended up with 4. And now we have the data centers back. So here we are on Facebook again, and everybody's yelling, screaming, and at Mike Gouvernement and John Jewell. Let's figure this out. So, and I'm not saying I'm for or against. There's some stuff that we want. But with that being said, we want a think tank for everything that we do. If there's a situation, we want people to be able to step up and say, you know what? I'll help you out a couple hours so we can do some research. It doesn't take that much time, guys. So we've got the data centers and a casino or a resort, and we're looking for help with the think tank. For the data centers, there are 2 meetings. There's one from 7 to 9 tomorrow night at Sharando High School. If you want to hear about the data centers, the Board of Supervisors will be down there from 7 to 9. This is not the time to go down there and smash mouth anybody. You never get anywhere by smash mouthing people. Okay? If you have a problem with them, you take them out back like we used to, and nobody sees it. I'm joking, Charlie. Okay?
Good.
Then FCRC is also on Tuesday night. The installation of the officers' votes and so forth, that's tomorrow night. Wednesday night is Conservatives of Lake Frederick. These guys are fantastic. Rhonda and Al put a lot of effort and energy into everything that they do. They are a huge part of Frederick County. I plan on being there Wednesday night, my voice and my body holding up. That's at the Bowman Library on Wednesday night. I'll have to get you a time. I think it's at 6 o'clock, but I'll have to check. Thursday, the data center meeting is at James Wood from 7 to 9. Okay. Now, also on Thursday night, the NRA has, the Friends of the NRA have a $75 ticket a gun raffle and auction and everything at the backseat bar and grill. It's to help out the folks, the kids, to learn how to do this stuff. The meeting in Bowman Library is at 3 p.m. Thank you, Rhonda. Oh, I'm so glad she's on here. These guys, they kick butt, man. It's from 3 to 5. Oh, that's fantastic. That means I could be at two places. See, these people think that way I can be at two places. Thank you guys so much. So backseat is Thursday at 5:30. Now I'm going to ask a question because I did talk to the Commissioner of the Revenue, Mrs. Seibert. Last week she talked about personal property taxes on your cars. Did anyone take advantage of sending in their inspection sticker and their inspection form to see if they could save money? I did, and I saved money. Okay, she's looking at other ways, senior programs and so forth, that a lot of people don't know about. Okay, so our Commissioner of the Revenue is trying to give you ways to help you and the county at the same time. So if you missed that window, you had to last Tuesday to do it. As far as the world is concerned, pay attention to Epstein. It is a lot deeper than people think. The same thing with Venezuela. You're going to find a lot of Republicans are wrapped up in this, getting millions of dollars from all over the place. We're going to see some heads roll in the next 6 months to a year. Do not say it's not going to happen, because it's going to happen. It's got to happen. Okay? We have to fix the judiciary. Now, why do I bring that up? Because Trump is actually working on these tariffs and so forth. And there's a saying he used to say, that if you stole the diamonds, if you were at a jewelry store and you stole the diamonds and you got caught, did you have to give the diamonds back? The answer is yes. Okay, if you got caught with the diamonds, you have to give them back. So a lot of these people will end up giving those diamonds back. I really think that we're going to see a balanced budget. I think we're going to see a lot of good things happen, where $38 trillion that we never spent, okay, actually comes back. And if we can handle the tariffs, we can handle the IRS, get rid of the central bank, there's a lot of things that we can do. I'm not trying to paint a picture of hopium. I'm just letting you know what I see as I look out there. I've been doing this stuff for about 20 years. So this whole Epstein thing is not just about trafficking. The tariffs right now work in our favor. You see what happened with the Supreme Court the other day. Everybody's like, see, they shut it down. There's no tariffs. No, it actually worked in our favor, and we get more money. Now, if you don't believe me, go look it up. All right. Now, real quick, the gun bills, some of them are already on Scam Burglar's desk. Okay, as you all know, she threw this kitchen sink at us, and I'm going to see if I'm not going to pull it up. Go to thehoney.badgerreport.com. If you are not on thehoney.badgerreport.com, you're missing a lot. I'm telling you, Amanda Chase is phenomenal. She gives you the night before everything that they're going to do tomorrow, and at the end of the day, what they did today. So in the essence of time and my voice, look up the Honey Badger Report. We donated to the Honey Badger Report. She's out there doing stuff for free. We help out the conservative, the constitutional sheriff's organization with Sheriff Mack. We're helping out other organizations that need help. We're helping out Adam's stuff when he needs it. We help out Mountain Bliss. When somebody needs it, we got to help each other out. So we got the Honey Badger Report. We're working on the Virginia Constitution. Charlie and I learned an awful lot today, again, in 2 hours worth of time. And and you all know this, but we got more clarification. What is happening to us, 90% of it is not constitutional. When somebody passes a bill and does something, one of the first things we ought to say is, wait a minute, I got a First Amendment right, redress of grievances. Where is that in our Virginia state constitution? Well, it's not constitutional. You can't do it. We are looking at something. Let me see if I can pull it up. Where is... See, I'm on... I apologize, guys. I'm on Barbara's computer. So, because mine's at the shop. Go figure. And this is, can people see this yet?
No.
All right. Where's my Zoom? We're going to share.
It's coming.
All right, good.
There
All
it is.
right. Can you all see this?
Yep.
The resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Spotsylvania County. This has gone through 4 counties. Okay, I got this from Darrell Bowe. All right, this is Title 7, Section 1 of the Constitution. Shall be submitted by the voters 90 days after the final passage of the General Assembly. What I'll tell you is this: 90 days from January 16th puts us at April 16th. The early voting for this redistricting is April 21st. Okay. So on the proposed constitutional amendment is scheduled to begin on March 6th. That's your early voting. This can't be done. Based on this, it can't be done. Now we're doing a little bit more research into this. We'll have more answers for you the next day or so, or whether or not we're going to put this in front of the Board of Supervisors and say, hey, we don't want this. Now, does that mean that it'll stop the voting? No, but you can't use the regular voting facilities. That's one of the things. I talked to Rodney today about this earlier. Secondly, so we're looking at that. And then the second part that I talked to Rodney is we want everybody to talk to your senators about the SAVE Act. If we think we want everybody to call the senators about the SAVE Act. If they filibuster, we want the senators to do this without cloture, which means if we can do this without cloture, we need 51 votes and we can get this SAVE Act. If not, then it's 61, majority 61, 60 or 61 votes, and we eliminate the filibuster. So we have got to do everything that we possibly can. I hope I got all that right. I'm a little scratchy and a little fuzzy tonight. So
One
I will
thing on the
send.
filibuster, one thing on the filibuster is that they could demand that they stand and speak. Right
Yep,
now, all they have to do is claim a filibuster and go home.
exactly. Don't work that they have to stand and speak.
Yep.
And we want it without cloture. So we've got the redistricting. Charlie brought it up last week. Please, anybody that has any meme that says no to redistricting, post it on Facebook. Every day I put it in my story and I put it on Facebook. I try to post it to 4, 5, 6 different things. No, 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 no. Okay. We have got to stop these characters from doing what they're doing. The one good thing about Abigail Scambergler is she's done enough for everybody to hate something. Okay. So she's doing a great job of making sure that everybody hates something about what she's doing. So make sure you get those social media posts out there. We got to be out there in force on the 21st. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Charlie because my voice is running out. Charlie, it's all yours, brother.
Okay, thanks. Somebody's got a radio on in the background.
Can everybody mute for me?
You missed up.
I'll go back and play again.
Oh, you did.
Brian over here at Homeland. Just
Jeanette?
calling the computer.
What is Novalane?
Jeanette?
What is what?
Lein, like lean.
I
don't
got it.
know.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Okay. As always, a reminder about membership that keeps us going, as modest as it is. Please, and I know as a reminder, it can be volunteer your effort instead of paying money, but we encourage you to pay some monies so we can keep this ship afloat. Those that's one thing. The second thing is data centers, and I want to share a screen. Dana explained everything that's going on tomorrow night and Thursday night.
This is your mural, right, Charlie?
Yeah, I did this on Mural. and
Good.
it's what I'm going to present to them. So what
And
you
I'm going to
see,
try to make copies tomorrow for this
yeah,
to hand
so,
out.
and I sent this to your email.
Yep. That's why
Um,
we need money.
so I don't know how much of this I'm going to get in. I don't know how long of time they're going to give each person to speak. But it may be 2 minutes, it may be three, hopefully four. I don't know. But there'll probably be a lot of people, so they'll keep it short. But at the very least, we'll pass this out to as many people as we can, and to whoever's listening that that the citizens are speaking to, so they'll have it. And the topic is on the left column, the blue or green. The yellow out to the right belongs to that whole row. Um, and I'm going to talk to this as fast as I can. And then the next page
You
is
want to
gets
explain?
into
Hey, Charlie, since we
what?
have time tonight, you want to explain to these guys what you're doing so they understand it? We can hand some to them. You did a
Yeah,
great
can
job
you
with this.
explain it? Because I can't get FaceTime.
I want to go through this right now. I was just giving you a
Good.
preview. So I'm going to quickly go through this because I'm not sure how long it'll take, but I'll rehearse it before Thursday night. Tomorrow night I'll be going to FCRC, so I'm going to the Thursday night one. And oh, by the way, the Board of Supervisors are all going to be at these data center listening events. So they're probably the ones that are going to be up front. I don't know. I don't know what the format is. So anyway, data centers. We need in this county some guardrails, better guardrails, and specific requirements. What do we need? Uh, Data centers are intrusive, and we're losing our privacy. But we can't do anything about losing our privacy because that's a national priority. Uh, the industry is steamrolling their way through the landscape, just like they did in the 1900 Industrial Revolution. We now have a data revolution. We need to stop that and as I said before, put some guardrails on this because what they're doing has a lot of unintended consequences. So what? Well, they're a disruptive neighbor. We have an area that's has charm and history and a viewshed and peace and quiet, and that disruptive neighbor is highly demanding, and and for all of that, they give us modest contributions. They give us some tax money, but we can't buy anything from a data center, and we can't sell anything to a data center. So that's for people outside our county. When they say, "Well, you need your cell phone," um, baloney. Now what? So install guardrails, which are restrictions and requirements. The best way to do this for them to be a good neighbor is to put the data centers out of sight and put no strain on our resources. Those two things are important. So the guardrails for our data centers is to be a good neighbor. So if you want us to be happy about data centers coming in here, you need to be a good neighbor. They need to be quiet and unobtrusive, and they need to pay their own way. So starting off with guardrails for the building, option number one is underground with 10 feet of earth cover. And only items above the ground would be offices, loading docks, and storage. Now I'm starting off with telling them how to do something that a lot of us don't want to happen at all. And this is a realistic approach because there's a good chance that if we put all our eggs in one basket and said we don't want them, then we're not prepared when that basket overturns and they're going to build whatever they want. So we want guardrails. So if they're going to build, they got to be out of sight and no impact on our resources. That's hard to argue against. So then option two is making sure that the cooling, air conditioners, all that stuff that makes noise, and the power emergency power is underground. And then the building height limited to 20 feet. So we don't have concrete canyons. And option three, there is none. That's our proposal for the building. So for water, we want you to use no water for cooling. Cooling is to be a closed loop liquid cooled system. Just like the radiator on your car. Your car isn't consuming water except for priming it to start and some antifreeze. And the cooling system itself is to be underground. Noise, mitigate by the backup power by being underground. Mitigate the cooling system by being underground. Mitigate intermittent noise. Now, this is where I'm two types of noise. Nobody's talked about this. Intermittent noise, like a diesel starting up to run a test for their emergency generator. Limit that, and this is common use, 55 decibels at the property line. Mitigate continuous noise, the hum, to 45 decibels at the property line. And it could be, and maybe we can even go quieter by mitigating all this stuff being underground. Electricity, the data center to pay for the infrastructure needed. Now, here's something that they don't talk about is the data center to pay for operations and maintenance of that extra infrastructure. And that may be a surcharge on their bill, or it may be, well, who knows? There's ways to do that. In case they shut down or when they shut down and due to obsolescence or whatever, they need to have provided us with a decommissioning plan, a plan specifically how to get rid of the hazardous material and the equipment and everything else that are on that facility. And provide, this is something else not talked about, provide a reuse plan in the case of decommissioning, so that we know there's something to do besides have acres and acres of pickleball courts inside. There's no windows, so we can't use it as a jail. Now, non-disclosure agreements get in the way. So we are saying no non-disclosure agreements. We're requiring fiscal transparency and annual revenue audits because people being told you can't disclose anything that we show you isn't going to work. And require a user fee if revenues are unrealized because they're renting their space to a nonprofit. So we need that assurance that we'll still get revenue from this, tax revenue. The Board of Supervisors needs to push the underground solution because that is going to be the hardest one. That's going to be the one that the data centers are going to say, "Oh, we can't do that." And I've heard people say how hard the ground is around here. I can get a bulldozer and a ripper, and I can rip up this sedimentary rock that we have and dig a hole. That's what civil engineers do, is they can dig a hole and bury something. So that's not high tech. Just have a consideration of the geology that's underground when you're citing this. And then include Mountain Patriot think tank report in however you come up with the actions, because we have basically covered what I just covered now in our report. So that's it.
Well done. Well done. Well done.
Any comment? Well, and we want this to be in everybody's hands. So we're going to do the best we can. Any questions?
Charlie, do you want these? Do you want me to print these off for Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have Barbara send them to Staples and we'll get, I don't know, 50, 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll handle that.
Okay. So that's the data centers. Now,
hang on, Charlie, if I could contribute.
Hey, man.
Dan. Yeah. Thank you.
Dan.
I was at the SBFA meeting last week, the Small Business Freedom Alliance, and the subject was the data centers. We had Wayne Pearson there and Patrick Marker.
Oh, Wyatt Pearson, right.
Wyatt Pearson. And had a good question. He was kind of surprised when I said, well, if you can't, he maintains the geology will not accommodate full burial, but it said, well, look, if you bury them halfway down, a 20-foot building becomes a 10-foot building. And he said, well, that's an interesting approach. He hadn't thought of that.
Right.
So we are having an impact on their thinking on this. Patrick Marker, who directs the EDA, said that it would take about a 400-acre site to generate 23 million in revenue. So for the whole budget hole we're looking at, it would take 400-acre sites to be up and running. But everybody recognizes nothing would come out of those sites for the next 4 or 5 years.
Right.
If I had to guess at anything, I think the Board of Supervisors is leaning against the idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Of
the
data
impression
centers.
I'm getting.
Yeah, I'm getting the impression too.
Yeah.
I've talked to a few of them. So
Sit right there at the desk.
That's it.
You can go through the drive-through. I don't know.
Dan, I want you to come back on in a minute and talk about city elders, because I put that on here. And
2 turkeys.
Okay.
okay, go ahead, Charlie. All yours, my friend.
Okay, the next topic is the casinos. Again, with Dan, the casinos, and something that we came up with is there needs to be.
Yeah, I just called and placed an order for 2 of the turkey sandwiches for Beth.
No, we don't take orders. We don't take orders. Okay. So, the casino that's being talked about most is the one at Apple Blossom Mall, a possibility of Winchester City putting it there. Now, that's one subject that perhaps we need, if they're going to do that, and we can object to it and register our objection, but if they're going to do that, the plan B should be that we should share in those revenues, a portion of them, so we can add to our own police force, our own infrastructure, to support whatever it is that's going to come from data center, from casinos. And Dan has done a lot of digging on that whole issue of how impactful the data centers are, both positive and negative. And that's something that he and I have been beginning to work on.
It's got a short life, though, Charlie. The data centers is a few year project, and then
yeah.
You were talking about casinos, right, Mark? Charlie?
Yes.
Yeah, but the casino,
yeah, not the data centers.
The data center would be, a couple years, and then, flop, flop, flop.
Well, just some updates, and Charlie, you don't know this, but I've been talking with the Small Business Freedom Alliance. Charlie and I are supposed to provide the counter casino argument to the Small Business Freedom Alliance on March 11th.
Right.
The March 11th meeting. And we're working on that, but I've been also talking that if the gerrymandering referendum goes through and it overcomes this legal hurdle in place right now, then we're going to devote that date to the referendum, the impact on business of that referendum going through, because then it's drop everything we have. We have to stop that referendum, do everything we can to stop it.
The redistricting.
One of the arguments that we're looking at is, instead of a casino, and Winchester can do what it wants to do there, and instead of data centers, there's a real, we think, strong opportunity presented by entertainment resort centers, such as the Kalahari Indoor
Wisconsin
Water
Dells?
Park, the Wolf Lodge. There's a town in Wisconsin called Wisconsin Dells.
Yeah.
That's got like 6 different resorts. They've made it, it's right on a freeway, and it's a huge entertainment plex.
It's huge.
That generates 150 million in state and local taxes to the community. 150 million. I mean, these things are money makers like you can't believe.
And it's
that's
not gambling.
because it's
not
just the
gambling.
resorts, but it also sparks a lot of development of hotels and restaurants and other businesses. And as distinct from data centers, it creates a lot of jobs.
Yep.
So we're going to try to make the argument that this is what the
EDA.
economic development people should be looking at, because you're not going to have to worry about getting licensed by the state. You're not going to have, well, we don't know what Spamberger is going to do, of course, but we don't have to worry about all the crime that comes with casinos or the gambling addiction problem. This is all family entertainment.
Family entertainment.
Yeah. So we're going to try to make that argument. I think we can make a very strong argument. And right now, we're still targeting March 11th to do our presentation. Charlie and I will work on that. But again, the caveat is that the current legal hold on that referendum, if it gets overturned and we're back to the April referendum, then we have to focus on that. And I want to make one quick point about the referendum. First of all, John Massoud is going to be at the FCRC meeting on Tuesday.
Yep.
He's bringing a lot of anti-referendum signs, his first batch of signs. We have to send him as much money as possible to print signs, do ads, and all that. He's building a war chest, and we're going to need that war chest. John thinks we may have 4 elections this year. The referendum, the primaries for the midterm elections, the midterm election, and one yet to be determined.
If we have an election in November.
If we have an election in November.
Yeah.
But given that each election has 45 days of voting.
Right.
That's 4 times 45.
We don't sit down.
Is 180 days. That's half a year that we would be demanding of volunteers to participate in the voting process.
Yep.
It's going to exhaust the volunteers. It's going to exhaust all of us.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons why it should be a #1 priority for everybody to go to their friends and neighbors and try to find more volunteers.
If everybody helps a little bit, we should be okay. Well, after the last one, we were 500,000 votes short. 500,000 people did not vote last time. That's why we're stuck with this.
I don't know if you read the last newsletter, but
yes,
the winning party last year was the I Don't Care Party.
Exactly right.
It had the largest number of votes in the election.
They do now.
They voted by not voting.
Yep.
They care now. And we may not.
We can only hope. John Massoud thinks he does see people getting angry and motivate and all that, but the horse is already out the barn, and we have a lot of catch up work if we're gonna get control of this situation.
And from what I'm hearing, guys, and I'm not to be a downer or scare tactic, but the Democrats are losing. Trump has really got everybody, not just there, but Iran, Ukraine, everybody's sitting on their heels right now. They do not know what to do. They don't know what to do with what he's doing. The Democrats may shut down. We could end up with emergency alert systems and all kinds of stuff in November, them shutting down the election. Yep. This is not a time this is also a time to prep, which is what I was going to cover next, because we need to be on top of what's going on. And I think Dan's got that in his head too. And he's also got the city elders, if you want to hit on that as well, Dan, because we're a community, guys. I mean, let's do something with it while we can. I mean,
well,
no time like
I have a quick question.
Quick.
Is anybody friends with John Dick?
Who?
John Dick, engineer, Anderson Engineering.
No.
Okay, so he lives in Winchester and engineer. And so for some reason, he had something to do with 10 data centers in Loudoun County.
Well, do
So,
me a favor, Jeanette. Get me his
Yeah.
info in the essence of time, and
Right.
I will talk to you about it tomorrow, if that's cool.
good, perfect. Okay, thanks.
Excellent. His name is John Dick.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Dana, did you want me to cover anything about GR Mobley or?
Yes, I do want you to cover something about you. I want Dan real quick to hit on. Well,
Okay.
Charlie, you might as well do it, and then I'll let Dan take it from there. How's that? Because we
Okay.
had guys, we had a great discussion. Charlie and I have had two phenomenal discussions. Okay, go ahead,
With
Charlie.
Mobley.
Go for it.
Yeah, he's
Just-
a constitutional expert,
Woo.
and he's going around the country mobilizing counties to exercise their power that they have in this country
Unbelievable.
under our Constitution.
Unbelievable.
And what he's focusing on is to hold elected officials accountable. And there's an interesting way that he has in approaching this. Uh, uh, the first thing we have to do, though, is learn the Constitution of Virginia.
Of Virginia.
Now, just to give you the overview, the Constitution of the United States operates under its enumerated powers, and that's it.
Yep.
They've regularly and broadly ignore those and overstep those.
Yep.
But
The
those
states.
enumerated powers are for the federal, and everything else goes to the state. Well, the state doesn't have power over everything else. The state has its own constitution that shall not be overstepped. And what's not in the state constitution remains with we the people. So I even had the idea in my mind that the state constitution, the state had domain over everything. No, the state has domain over what we the people have given it, have allowed it to do. And one of the things they've done is all elected officials take a pledge. They take an oath to uphold the Constitution, both the state and the federal. Now, as we get smarter and able to point out things that they're requiring us to do that are not constitutional, that's kind of where it just falls flat. Nothing happens. But there's a way, and it's set up so that counties can petition up the line to the state when they're for what they want, for when the state is ignoring or violating the Constitution. And if you properly submit a petition, especially from a board of supervisors to the state, then the state cannot ignore it.
Right.
They have to address it. Because right now, if we all go to the Capitol and raise our voice and talk to the people and go to office and say what we want, that means nothing. They can ignore us. So the way they cannot ignore us is by doing a petition properly and having that go up from the Board of Supervisors, the leaders of the counties, and force an issue up the line in the State House. And the idea is to get as many counties as we can to do the same thing. There's a group in Loudoun County trying to do this. There's I'm not sure where else he's been talking to in Virginia.
Why counties matter most in architectural and functional view.
Right.
And I'll make sure everybody has that. And the truth about the 17th Amendment. We spent a lot of time.
Yeah. So anyway, suffice it to say, Dana and I are looking at this. We're looking for a couple of people that might be interested in helping us with it.
One from the board.
Yeah, and we need to get smart on the state constitution,
Right.
get smart on the state spending, and then look at what parts of the state spending are not in the Constitution,
Yes.
and use those things as the facts to move forward and challenge the leadership to say that they're violating their oath.
Exactly.
So we need to become a constitution. We need to become constitutional warriors.
And constitutional county.
And a constitutional county.
Yep.
So with that, stay tuned. We'll keep you posted.
And we're looking, I put out, we're reaching out to the Board of Supervisors, who were one of the supervisors on that. We're reaching out to a couple people. We figure 4 or 5 of us ought to be able to do this and nail it down pretty well with some help from you guys on the outside, and be able to literally walk into Board of Supervisors, and when something goes down, say, is this in our Constitution?
Yeah.
Could you, according to our Constitution, is this legal? Well, we don't want it. You can't do that. Okay, and we'll be doing the same thing with the sheriff when we're looking at our sanctuary county for our Second Amendment rights as well. Is that about right, Charlie?
Yeah, so that's it.
Excellent. Thank you, man. That was excellent, Charlie. Hey, Dan, you want to tell everybody about real quick about city elders we've got going, and then I'm going to flip it over to what we got to be prepared for, and then turn it over to Adam.
Very quickly. We've been building up city elders as an organization for the past year or so.
Yep.
And it's slowly growing. We've been meeting once a month on a Wednesday at noon. And we're going to add an additional meeting now, a morning meeting that's going to this coming week meet on Thursday, or this week, sorry. And next week, we'll try to switch it to Wednesdays at Patty Solenberger's. But the purpose of the city elders is a group, a group that came out of Oklahoma that is trying to reinstall the city elder guardrails that prevailed in the Old Testament, whereby city elders kept tabs on the moral and spiritual condition of their communities and intervened when needed. We're already starting to talk about ways we can intervene in our community. We published a letter about the dangers of lying, and
Right.
In the Winchester Star, we got some very good feedback about that. At the most recent meeting, I think it was unanimously decided that we would focus on abortion, euthanasia, and the meaning of life.
Yep.
As the most important priority leading up to the November election, or maybe even earlier. So we're taking on a number of issues. We're looking for opportunities to pray with others. We talked about ABBA. What is it? The ABBA Center.
ABBA Care for the
ABBA Care
with
Center.
the sonograms and.
That's right, for young women, young pregnant women.
You hear the heartbeat.
So we're starting. We hope you'll give it due consideration if you feel so moved. I want to point out I'm not the leader of this organization. I'm only a facilitator. Leaders will rise with time as we grow, and as we grow together. They will make themselves obvious, but it's a new organization, nascent organization, and we'll just keep moving forward with the recognition that, boy, do we need it in Virginia right now. We need a spiritual reawakening. So thanks. That's all I got.
Excellent. Thanks, Dan. All right, guys, I'm just going to take a second. I know I got Gunny on here too. We need some help in this respect too. Since we lost Rick, we don't have anybody helping us out with the radio stuff. It is our belief that everybody should have a radio, especially now. I get a chance to talk to Gunny or Keith while they're cruising down the road here and there. But we want somebody that can also help us run networks like we do on Sunday nights at 6 o'clock and on Tuesday nights at 7:30. It might not seem like a big deal now, but if somebody gets stuck somewhere, it will be a big deal. It will be a big deal. I also, we covered this last week. We are asking people to make sure that you have some of the things that you need in your car that's easily carried. If something were to go down and you had to pull over to the side of the road and get yourself home, that you're ready for that you have some backup power at your house, that you got your batteries and your flashlights and something sharp and your cordless hole puncher with plenty of things to put in it. We do know that ammo will probably jump by about 11%. There's one thing that Miss Spanberger's done very well, and she's really rallied the 2A movement. People are buying a lot of stuff, but make sure that you're prepared for just a snow. Think about a snowstorm that lasts for a week. If this, and I'm going to call them this, if the deep state does what I think they're going to do, because they have lost so much power. If you've ever had a jilted spouse that's narcissistic, you know what I'm talking about. Multiply times a million. Okay? These guys they're, the whole idea was to literally depopulate us down to 500 million people. Now, a lot of people thought that was kind of crazy. Now it's front news headlines. So make sure that you're prepped up and ready for just about anything to happen, and that you know who you can get in touch with or you can reach out to if you need help or they need help, that we're there for each other. And with that, I'll keep my mouth shut. And I asked my buddy Adam V.
Wait, Dana, just a moment.
Yeah.
On that note,
Yes.
I would suggest all of us that are members of the Elks organization reach out to the Elks to find a good comms person with military veteran, because the Elks has them. I know they have them.
Right.
You know, we're going to find this in the first responder and military community.
We've picked up a few people on our radio checks on Tuesdays and Sundays and Tuesdays. Somebody say, "Man, I just checked." It's funny how many people, Dan, are on the radio now that we've never had. Because Gunny will say, "Is there any late check-ins or any new check-ins?" And somebody will go, "This is PMQ 549. I was just going through the dial, and I'm fair." So now people are starting. I'll say you can find us at mtnpats.com. And people are submitting forms to us saying, I'm a farmer, I'm an EMT, I was a Marine, I'm a constitutional patriot, Christian. I love what I'm hearing from you guys. And we picked up, what do you think, Gunny? 4, 5, 6 people in the last few weeks? So people are very aware right now of what's going on. A lot more people are awake now than they were 5 years ago when everybody was ready to help me invest in Reynolds Wrap, with the tinfoil. You're on mute, Dan. Dan, you're on mute.
I seem to have picked up your disease. So I want to be in functioning shape for the FCRC meeting tomorrow. So I'm going to bid you all a very good night and bounce off. So
God
thanks,
bless
everybody.
you, Dan. I will talk to you tomorrow,
Thanks,
brother.
Dan.
You bet. Thanks.
Hey, Adam, are you here?
I have some questions.
Who has a question?
I do, Luann.
Hi, Luann.
Hi.
You found my invite.
What kind of? Yes, I did. What kind of walkie-talkies do you recommend?
We have Baofengs, Baofengs. I'll type it in the bottom. It's not the radio. It's somebody to program it. And I have what's called a UV. I'm going to put it in here. I have a UV82. I put it in the chat box. A Baofeng UV82. I don't know if Gunny can throw a word or two in here about because Rick had a problem with thinking that some of them were locked and they were only on ham band, and whether or not we could still use them on a GMRS frequency. But I don't know. I mean, Rick left a pretty big hole. He left a hole. Go ahead, Gunny.
Some of the newer ones, due to legal issues, some of the newer ones you cannot break. Some of the not so newer ones, if you know what you're doing, you can chain break them and you can use them for both ham radio and
GMRS.
Thank you, GMRS. The trick is if you go out and you buy them and if they're like 2021 and newer, you can forget it. You can't chain break. Well, you can, but you better be very good at using heat and such to modify the interior of the radio. The ones before that, depending on which radio you have, There's actually a series of codes and buttons that you push at the same time to unlock them. But by law, now any of them being sold technically are supposed to be locked, so you can't use them on both GMRS and ham.
Right. Somebody got me. They said, it's not in the book. That's because Rick was on to book number 2, because when he wrote book 1, we could do that. You know, and he kept saying, oh, I got to finish book 2. The good news is that we were able, from what I understand from Jeff Choi, they found a lot of Rick's stuff in a hard drive somewhere back in his bedroom. So we may have a lot of the stuff that the thinking prepper stuff and part of the book that Rick was working on. And I just got to get back in touch with Jeff and see if we can't finish that stuff up. You know? All right. Gunny, thank you, man.
All right, I have another question.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything that we can do about the chem and the contrails that are, I mean, how do we bring up, like, for an amendment to vote on?
That's a big one, because that's a state thing. Some of the states,
Yeah.
so, Luann, some of the states have stopped the chemtrails. Some of them haven't. We happen to be one of the ones that are getting nailed with them left and right. It's just something that this group has not had a chance to work on yet. We're working on fluoride in the water, and then you got data centers, and then you've got the, redistricting, and then you got the Constitution, and there's so many things. There's only so much we can do. But if you want to put a group together and we can start doing that and have some researchers do that, I'd be glad to talk to you about it. That's one of our ministries. That's the health ministry.
Oh.
Would you be willing to help us out?
All right. I'll
Just
think
say
about
yes.
it. I don't know what I can even do.
Yes. Just say yes.
There are a lot of people that
Yeah, because everybody brings up the chemtrails
all the time.
I mean, and I'm telling you, I think part of the reason I'm sick right now is because of them. There's been days that I've been able to taste it, especially up here. All right. Any other questions before I go to Adam? Adam, you here, buddy? He was here. I know he and Beth are on here.
You muted?
Adam, there you are. You're on mute, brother. 1600 unscripted. You're on mute. He's getting there. Hey, Adam, unmute yourself, brother.
Adam, you're on mute.
He's probably calling in on his phone. That tells me that he's having problems. My computer's in the shop right now. So
all right, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, buddy. There you are.
Hey. There we are.
You were getting a little sideways
so
there.
I might, yeah, is that better?
Yeah, you're fine. There you go. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right. So,
you,
do you think you can have somebody go real quick? I just got some technical problems. I need like 5 minutes to fix my speaker. My phone's about to die.
Yeah, man. You go ahead, and because we've got a few things that we can hit on yet. I want to go back to what Charlie was talking about with this, why the counties matter most in an architectural and functional view. There was a lot that went with this, guys. He was covering an awful lot today about the authorities and suffrage, the 17th Amendments, and how it took away what it did with the state senators, the First Amendment redress of grievances, how to put together a think tank of a few people that were serious. And Charlie and I were trying to figure out, 3 or 4 people that are open-minded, not, in other words, we're going back to school and not going, well, we know this or we know that or we have this or we have that, that are willing to listen to this guy, GR, who is probably I mean, Barbara was sitting on the set with you. We were all
Yeah,
we were blown away. If there was a way to come back at something, GR had it. Am I right, Charlie?
Oh yeah, yeah, and he's willing to share, and his whole mission is to get people like us in various counties to
he knows
stand up
his
and
stuff.
start doing something.
Not just, be like he does not want to be a guest speaker. Okay, it's not my job is to do a guest speaker and you pick up a couple of. He wants to teach people that are willing to look at Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution, the Virginia Constitution, and go through this stuff. I've never heard anybody that handles the Constitution and the state constitutions like this man. I could have sat here and listened to him all day long, if you want the truth.
What he told what really hit me was because I've been four square behind the fifth what is it? The
Convention of States.
Convention of States,
Right.
the Fifth Amendment approach. And he said, yeah, he said that's where that is. But what people aren't talking about is the Third Amendment allows the judiciary to step in and determine to take over, let Congress take it over. If you think you're going to be doing this without Congress running it, you'll be surprised when they call a convention of states and find out
the Congress steps on it.
Oops, it just got taken away. So that's turning out to be, if that's true, that's turning out to be a minefield.
Article 5.
Article 5, because
Right.
Article 3 will take it away.
It was pretty fascinating.
It is. And but he's willing to teach us more about it. And we're trying to figure out how we can do that here. And I don't know enough yet to do it, but his website, if you're curious,
I was just going to ask that. I was just going to put it up. It's info at
Reclaiming the Republic.
Right.
And he's also on the radio in various places too, but Reclaiming the Republic .org. And he has a ton of his writings on there. And so if anybody's so inclined, go there and start reading it, and you'll get a sense of the mission that he's on. And,
I'm going to put a few things aside to do that.
Yeah.
Adam, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. You guys can hear me?
All right, my friend. As you guys probably know, Adam does a show down in front of the White House every week. He's been a J6er since J6 was unpopular, right, Adam?
That's right.
And since it became unpopular, and he does a phenomenal job, and a lot of you guys have probably watched his show because we share that from here as well. So all yours, buddy.
Yeah, hey everybody. We just had a great episode of 1600 Unscripted with Lieutenant Colonel Douglas Clark. And if you guys check that one out, he gives very specific step-by-step instructions about how to force hand recounts in your district. And it's something that we all can be doing, where we get crushed by these voting machines. And oftentimes it's a fraction of the cost to do a hand count. And if you can bring documentation showing your election board that not only is it more effective, but it saves money, it really reduces their ability to argue that this is better. And so that's a way to put pressure on hand counts and help paint these guys into a corner. Like Dana was saying earlier, anything that you can do to force accountability will cause our adversary to flip out and expose themselves more. I had a couple of things to go over today. So I've been working really hard to try to get a system to streamline dropping things off by hand to people's offices.
You're talking at the Capitol.
Right, at the Capitol, at congressional offices. And it's like Charlie was saying, unless you can do it in mass with some advisory boards behind you, they will ignore it. So I'm trying to find a way to scale us dropping off paperwork. And if we have legislation that we want submitted, then we drop off hundreds and hundreds of copies. And that way it's harder to ignore. So I've been working on that as well. We just got 100 copies of our affidavit saying how three different J6ers lost their lives due to medical neglect while they were detainees by the BOP or directly related to death resulting out of medical neglect. And so we're just trying to push due process because if these Dems get back in power, they've already said that they're going to come back after us, come back after our families, and by extension, all of you. If any of you are engaged in politics that are unpopular, that kind of opens the door into them coming after you. I want to cede part of my time this time to a friend of mine. I actually got a real treat for you guys. This is my friend Lois, and while I was on the run, Lois actually used to drop off bags of food for me, and we used to pray together, and she is just a wealth of prepper knowledge. She actually was writing about how all this was going to happen back in '94, believe it or not. And so she's been using the gospel and the poetry she writes to educate. She ran something called Ezra House Ministries that fed, how many people would you say?
Well, let's put it this way. We distributed almost 1 million pounds of groceries in that area in the last 5 years we were open.
One of us. You were right.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I'm identifying with the things you're saying. Yeah. I have a cousin lives over a ways and he has a ham radio and I've been wanting to go get over there and just kind of play with him with it. Play with the
If you
ham
get a
radio.
ham radio, we'll be able to talk to you there. So I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So Lois has just a couple of things, but I wanted to get her plugged in. Lois has
I love
managed an
it.
entire rabbit farm by herself. Lois is an expert at canning, at feeding large groups of people, at managing conflict in communities. And so just if I can help get her plugged into Mountain Patriots, then she's
Yes.
a great resource.
Yes.
Lois, you want to take it away?
Okay.
Love it.
Well, I heard you talk about people waking up. Well, I
Yeah.
had my awakening back around 89, you know, in that area. But first I want to give you a little bit of background about my family. My husband enlisted in the Navy when he was 17 years old. His dad had been in the Navy and he didn't want to get drafted. So because he would go and, with the ground troops.
Right.
So he was stationed in San Diego. And, I mean, that's where his training was, but he was put on a ship there called the Turner Joy and went straight to Vietnam in the Gulf of Tonkin. So he was signalman on the bow of the ship, and his friend was on the stern of the ship. And the alarm sounded. They went to full battle. I don't know what you call it, but battle orders.
Battle stations.
Battle
Yeah.
stations, yeah. And he didn't tell me this for years. He was too afraid to talk about it. But anyway, they came around and got everybody on the ship to sign a verification that they had been attacked by North Vietnamese PT boats. And my husband and his friend, neither one would sign the paper. So years later, whenever he finished his service and he was supposed to be discharged, they put him in jail or in the brig for 11 days without no explanation. Then finally they came in with that same paper. He had to sign it or they would keep him indefinitely. So he signed it, and then they threatened him. He couldn't tell anybody about it.
NDA.
And so that now everybody's pretty general knowledge that really didn't happen, that it was fake, but that was my husband.
It was a false flag.
It was a false flag way back then, 65 years ago. So we think this is new, and we went through conspiracy theory and theorists, and being called all the,
Yep.
not being believed about things. And so when Ryan came along and he was a J6er, I had already written like 10 pages of stuff about J6 and how I understood that it was probably a false flag, that it didn't really happen the way they said. So anyway, but my heart is that we raise up children to be patriotic, to fight for America, because
Amen.
I'm getting older. I can't do some certain things. But this poem I wrote, I was sitting out on the balcony about 3 stories up, and there was a post office below me, and their flag was just like 2 or 3 feet off our balcony. Huge, big flag waving. I never was very patriotic, and neither was my husband. It really made him disappointed in America. You know, it hurt him. And so we weren't really very patriotic or anything, but I had been, really trying to seek God and grow as a Christian and writing poems every day of what God was showing me. And so he showed me that flag, and it was just like a supernatural beauty in the flag. So anyway, I'm going to save time. I'm going to cut short and go ahead and read the poem.
Please do.
And it's called The Flag. Who puts the grand in our flag so grand? Is it the leader who takes a stand? What makes us love the red, white, and blue? Is it the song we've learned to view as a symbol of freedom's right? It always makes our hearts delight to see the colors. To see the colors waving true. It's the grand old red, white, and blue. So who'll put the grand in our flag today when America's child is led astray? Will their spirits rise to freedom's call and stand up brave to challenge all who would destroy our foundation strong and lead our nation into the wrong? Who'll tell the children of the flag so grand and help our children take a stand where founding fathers fought to be on the side of truth and liberty? Or will they see in the flag of tomorrow days of despair and nights of sorrow? Or can we, with wisdom true, lead them on to a better view of this great land where freedom rings with godly love and grace that brings hope to the heart of everyone that puts his faith in the living Son and builds his life as great men must on the word of the God we trust? So when I again place hand to heart,
Wow, that's awesome.
let me remember before I start to honor the God whose mighty hand will keep our nation and flag so grand.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so glad that we have this recorded. And you know what? You brought up something. You were talking about our kids and the flag and being so grand and the patriotism and love in God. And we have a young lady that's going to talk to us in a few minutes that is the greatest mama bear for fighting for the kids that I think I've ever met. You're going to hear from her tonight. I think she's on here.
Awesome.
I hope she's on here. Is Anne on here? I have to look. Yeah, oh yeah, there she is. She's here. She's here. But plus, you know what? Adam, I need her information. We're going to get you plugged in with us because we're all over. I mean, today, Charlie and I were talking to somebody in Washington State. I talked to people in Loudoun County. We're hooked up with Cloth up in New York. We got Adam where he is. I mean, we're in North Carolina, Richmond. I mean, we're all over the place right now.
It's exciting.
More people. And I would love to pick your brain on some of the things that you do as far as prepping is concerned, because we have a feeling, like our friend Rick had a feeling that stuff like this was going to happen back in the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, we always prepared.
You know, I thought something was going to happen at 9/11. That's where actually it was a little before that. And where it really hit me was when Obama was the keynote speaker at the Democratic National Convention. I can tell you where I was, what I was doing, what I was wearing. And I sat back and I sat in my chair and I said, that guy's the Antichrist. And my ex-wife looked at me and she goes, what'd you say? I said, I'm telling you, they're going to take that guy right there and they're going to make him a president. I've never heard something about that guy. Doggone it, he wasn't. And now look where we are. So
I have one thing to share more about this.
Please.
I didn't know it at the time, but it was Flag Day. When I went in the house and sat down and turned on the news, it was June 14th, 1994.
June 14th.
And that was Flag Day. And it had to be a God thing. See, God gave me a sign by making me do it on the day, on Flag Day.
It's Trump's birthday, too.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you guys. I really appreciate you giving me a few extra minutes, and I thought you'd appreciate that historical. I mean,
I loved it.
what are the
Adam,
odds
you
that a
rock.
J6er on the run meets the guy whose husband was at the Gulf of Tonkin incident? They made it live. It's a God thing, and I'll give it back to you, Dana. I just wanted to say have a great night, and thank you all for everything you're doing.
You too, brother. And
Thank you,
we're gonna
Dana.
hook up. Our
Thank you,
complete
Lois.
membership came through for Riverside today. You know, Charlie and I, we have our full year. We're ready to go, brother. So now I'm feeling better, and I'll be ready to catch up with you. So we have Miss Anne Craft Taydus, who's here tonight, who's going to fill us in on what she sees going on with these kids and so forth. And this is really important, guys, because the kids are the future. And this young lady fights like nobody else. So, Anne, they know you. Rock and roll.
You're about to see the soft, squishy side of me. I've got to get some tears out real quick. Like,
did that touch you?
Everything touches me, and it's so exhausting. Being
what color's
me.
your hair, Anne?
It's still blonde. I haven't gone brunette yet, but
she choked me up tonight.
But you know, I'm called every name in the book because I'm a beast, but I'm not a snake, and that's but it's like it's because my heart is so big. Like, why would I want to save children I didn't give birth to?
Right.
So when God fills me, I'm a crier, and people used to say, "Oh, that," and now I know that that's people who are truly touched. That prayer affects and God affects in that way. So I either rage cry or it's God cry. But it's overwhelming now to be in Richmond and to see and to hear what they're doing and to participate in legislation and have, as mad as parents are and having nobody participate. And it really, if it wasn't for God and you guys, and other people, I've begged God to release me from this calling, and I know it's a calling. And when you know that, I can fight 18 hours in a day,
right,
and be at the front lines and go to sleep like a baby, and I wake up and I may have begged God to release me the night before, but when my feet hit the ground, I go, and I've been going for 5 years now. And but it's like we're teetering, because the only way that our republic survives is the ability to replicate, which right. I'm 46, and every room that I go in that I belong in with my people, I am the youngest. I am an old soul, but there's nobody younger than me. Maybe some, younger generation that realize how screwed up the world is, but there's
we got to get them involved.
Well, there's a 30-year gap. Talking to 35-year-old parents, I would rather be in a room with 60 to 80-year-olds and feel more. But Republican 35-year-old parent, is that it's like having a conversation with Republican teachers that don't understand that they've been trained in pedagogies for a specific reason too, even though they don't believe even the trans CRT stuff. Their mentality of how children should learn. Well, who are you? You're not a teacher. You're right. I haven't been trained to be anything other than an unbiased source that seeks the actual truth.
Right.
And who are you? You're not a teacher. Who are you? Let the lawyers do the lawyering. No, is that it's exhausting, because you're talking to people who think that because they have degrees and things that they're exactly. It's like anybody can go get a license to be a teacher. You can literally walk into, and if you can breathe today, go get a provisional license with no qualifications. So that's the whole thing when they're like, "Oh, we're the
sheriff,
teacher."
man. You could be the sheriff.
Why not?
You can.
I may have been convicted of felony embezzlement and have 18 DUIs, and I may have actually driven drunk to school today, and I will get my license back and only get suspended for 60 days. That is the state of public education now. I'm not kidding you.
Right.
They have given licenses back since they started to allow felons in 2020 to somebody who went 120 miles an hour through Richmond, hit a U of R professor, ran his car into a brick building that happened to be 4 apartments down from where I was raising my daughter by myself. That was a Richmond City teacher. He got his license back because you could give felons their licenses back. I have 8 teachers that were reinstated after 2020 with founded cases of child abuse in the school. Is that there is no moral, like the whole moral turpitude is that there's no morality literally, because any crime that would and this is I was a felon. I've been clean 17 years. So I have the right to speak about this matter. And it's not my white effing privilege saying it, is that it does you are immoral if you break the law. If you make the choice as an adult to break the law, you are immoral. And I am one that I can say that because I have lived that life, and I know I'm in touch with my dark side, which we all have. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do shadow work and you don't, you can never see the world as it is, especially if you're not a Christian that knows that we are born we are not born innocent. We are all capable of evil. Right. Every single human being. And these children are not, that's when you don't have a biblical foundation, is that they're getting a free pass and everything. They don't have morals, not just because they're not being taught them in schools, but they're not being enforced at home. So now everybody's so alarmed that now they're letting felons go, like that they've had. But what people don't realize is they've been getting let go for decades now through the Virginia Sentencing Commission. Is that you can I have this is a section of 2013. I got FOIAs of all of the the child abuse cases, and they the judge deferred downwards because the 14-year-old consented to the relationship with the 30-year-old stepfather. Right. That's what these judges' comments say from 2013 and 2015. So this is not new.
This is 13 years ago.
We're not starting at a pedophiles are getting 20 years and we're going to all of a sudden make that radical. People have to get over that idea. And that's what they want you to believe. Unbelievable. And is that we were a state that used to give the death penalty for raping children under 13. And I have a great book from 1954 that broke down all of those, what the crime for sodomy and all of that is. You can have consensual sodomy. You can sodomize a child and not spend a day in jail and get off, because in Virginia, a class 5 and a class 6 felony, they're called wobblers, meaning they can wobble to the misdemeanor. And so what we're doing next is that if you know that, then you know that when you propose, you have to make sure that that legislation is solid at a felony 4, because that way they can't, because they'll no problem. So they'll take 8 charges. So a teacher who rapes 3 children, they'll say, oh, well, for the well-being of the child and the community and the taxpayer, 3% of cases make it to the courtroom. Nobody knows how to litigate. They're all plea agreements. Right. They'll say, well, no problem, meaning we won't actually charge you for them. And we'll plea them all together into one contributing to the delinquency of a minor, which you get if you buy a kid beer. Right. And they're wondering why nobody's going to jail. Why would anybody do a jury trial? Because the people that do, they go to jail for 100 years or 25 years. But these Commonwealth attorneys, and that's why I wish I had your Commonwealth attorney in that room again, now that I have all of his information and your judges, is when you have that record in front of you and your sheriffs, and that's what I've been compiling, because that's what you take to them. Because they are complicit. They are enablers of pedophiles. They are just as guilty, the people who sit by and allow this to happen to children. And I am a survivor of child sex abuse from the age of 6 to 10. And I can tell you that when you sexualize a child, it might as well be murder, because that child's entire future has been destroyed. And when you are adults and you sit by and you allow it to happen, is that there are people, there's a man named Amos Guerra, he's a Utah law professor who's his parents survived Auschwitz. And he talks about the crime of complicity and the army of enablers. And he took his story and he moved it into the arena of what's happening in our child sex in schools. Is when you are an adult, if you are a teacher and you know what's happening, 100 good teachers who say nothing about one pedophile teacher means you have 101 bad teachers.
Yeah.
And it is that when you have allowed the government to cover up, which is what they're doing, and that's why I sound crazy when I tell you about it until I show you the proof, every single case. And I show you the teachers who have been allowed back into the classroom. I show you with the documentation that I have of the schools that have written letters of recommendation to teachers under investigation to get out of their county, to go to a different state or a different county, to then it's happening in every division. Is that as soon as they find out they're being investigated, the school will allow them to quit with a letter of recommendation
to another school,
end the investigation, and then it doesn't become their problem. I've had former school board members, those personnel meetings that nobody's privy to when they have and I've had Bedford, Amherst, Orange. They've told me they've said that the superintendent or the school board attorney will tell them. They'll say, "Well, we have this report here that," and they'll say, "No, there's not. No, we're just that it'll make us look bad." Is that the second that if the institution must burn to the ground to protect the innocence of children, I will light the match, and I'm sure Dana will carry the torch. Is that if it must burn to protect children, it must burn. And until everybody gets to the place, people say, "Anne, if you were president, what would you do?" Shutter the doors.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? What happened during COVID? We woke up one morning and they had shuttered the doors, and it didn't make any sense. Is that the president come on and say, I would come on and I would do a State of the Union, and I would say, "Is it today you woke up, ladies and gentlemen?" Just like 9/11 or some other catastrophe, or ladies and gentlemen, we woke it. Or it reminds me of the movie Armageddon. Ladies and gentlemen, who was it? Morgan Freeman, and he's on, and he's like, "We have entered a dark day." But is that I would come on and I would be like, "I have come here to free you and your children. I will no longer take your tax money. I will," and that's at the state level, the federal level, and the local level. And we're going to rewind back in time. We are no longer going to teach your things that violates the constitutionally protected rights of parents. We're no longer going to teach your children about sex, AIDS, heroin, needles. I mean, you guys have no idea what they're teaching 10-year-olds. I mean, when you teach an 11-year-old all the names of prescription medication, this is my child. And those of you know me have seen the assignment from when she was in 6th grade health class.
Yep.
Desensitizing her to prescription bottles, giving her the name of every, so we're talking about hydrocodone, oxycodone, morphine, and then images, including crushed up rolled dollar bills, how to use it, snort it, chase the dragon, a piece of foil and a pipe. Okay. And is it my 11-year-old, and then send her home with an assignment to find what was in my house, then search the internet, find an image of the pill in the opioid assignment, and send it back to the school. And then I told the Board of Education, if my 11-year-old had OD'd and died, who would be held accountable? Who would have lost a child?
Yeah.
Who would have lost my other children because I lost a child because of CPS? And who would have never known that it was the school who did what I didn't know was going on? Right. And so when children die, when there's a drug overdose in your school, when there is a suicide problem, you know what you don't do to stop a mental health a suicide problem? You don't start talking to 5- and 6-year-olds and give them a suicide hotline badge. That went through 2 years ago. 2 years ago, that was bipartisan, unanimous in the Virginia Assembly to give kindergarten through 12-year-olds suicide hotline badges. You don't teach a 5-year-old about suicide because they have no ability to process the finality of it.
They don't know what that means.
They have no idea. They don't have temper tantrums anymore. You have a suicide problem. And so just real quick, close out. I took that 1-800 or the pound. I forget. I want to say 666, but that's not right. And I actually did it one night over Christmas. And I was up at night and I couldn't sleep. And I used the text version. And I pretended to be a 14-year-old, and I wasn't leading. I said, I was like, they said, "Are you okay?" I'm fine. I was at school today. I don't have anybody to talk to. Everybody's talking about and asking me what gender I am, and I'm not really comfortable. So I wasn't like, "Oh, I think I'm this," because I didn't want to lead the answer. I didn't want to be like, "Oh, I ended up here because of what I said." So I told them, and I said, "I just, my parents are asleep," and I even said, "Should my parents know about this?" And I have screenshots of this entire conversation, and they were like, "No, it's fine. You're fine." And they ended up putting me, I downloaded 2 apps that were trans by your zip code. So you have to put in your zip code, and it was 22 and under chat rooms to talk about, I'm not kidding. And so we're talking about child sex trafficking. If I at the time was 45 and got into these chat rooms and was a 14-year-old girl, who else is in there in my zip code?
Right.
And then you guys know about the Trevor Project. If you don't know what Trevor Project, have to go there and have fun. I ended up in Trevor Space, which has room like maps. It's like,
what's that called? Trevor. It's called Trevor Space, and you ended up
the Trevor Project. If you want to go to, and that is an actual like curriculum source for the public school system, and it just goes, it'll blow your mind. But they have a thing called Trevor Space, which is where you can go talk. And so the people that on the other end of this K-12 suicide hotline number that bipartisan unanimously passed the General Assembly 2 years ago, Jeremy McPike wrote it. Kindergartners through 12. And so if you ever see a kid with a geolocation tracker that they tell you have to swipe to get on the bus, swipe to use the bathroom, if you've ever heard about that in these schools, on the back of it, it's going to have the back of the bathroom stalls have it. Are you suicidal? Call this number. And so that's that's exactly. And so when you think about, that's what's going on in the schools. And so you were talking about being a prepper. Me, I'm a city girl. I can get
it comes right up. If you type in Trevor in, it's like the third one down, Trevor Project.
Yep.
Suicide prevention for LGBTQ young people. Wikipedia, Trevor Project. 45 million from Mackenzie Scott after difficult. Holy crap.
That's where they draw curriculum from that. The Trevor Project
GED
is like
to CEO.
Yeah. That's one that you need to know about, kind of like beautifultrouble.org, which is
this is a month ago.
Yeah, Saul Alinsky's go to beautifultrouble.org. They've put his book into a website of MK Ultra.
They just got MK Ultra. They just got $45 million from Mackenzie Scott to support the crisis hotline. $45 million. They want our kids dead.
Yeah. So that's Miss Trevor. So they put me in Trevor Space to talk with, and you have to put in your zip code. And so I'm with children. Now they tell you, now you can't exchange addresses, but that's all it is. But I'm a 14-year-old kid, remember? And as soon as I got in there, remembering I was a 45-year-old adult, I was like, I'm getting the hell out. I could not even be in there. And so that's, people think about, oh, well, this legislation is going to do some good.
No, it's not.
But they don't think about the process. And they don't remember that the Virginia Constitution states that the ultimate authority in education is the General Assembly, meaning everything that has gone to the VDOE, and Scott, this applies to you if you want to fight, is everything that has gone to the VDOE by the General Assembly that has not come back to the General Assembly to be voted on is unconstitutional, because the Constitution reads the ultimate authority in public education is the General Assembly, meaning what they send to a non-elected agency to develop must come back to the General Assembly to be voted on. Hasn't been done since Doug Wilder. Was it done then? Yes, it was. So I traced back the last time that it was done, and then they wanted us to forget it. Is that the very thought that a non-elected, the very thought that legislation can be handed to a non-elected body. Because if you didn't know this, we're one of the only state that has a 100% appointed board of education. and an appointed state superintendent. Most states have either half and half, or they have an elected portion of that. We're not. You have to know how other states do things. We are not that. We are very bad. But why would you allow? And so there's so many ways to fight this. But then at the other end of the day, with the preppers here, my hope is that we can start together to develop the community to get them out. Because you have to.
I want to talk to you further about this. I want to point something else out, Anne, because I went to trevorproject.org.
You want to pull it up on?
Do you know this has got a quick exit? Now, what this tells me is if I pull up the trevorproject.org and my parent comes in, I just have to tap it, and your parents never see it.
No, you're absolutely correct. And what's even crazier is, so when I first got into this,
and it's gone.
So everybody remembers the COVID money, the ESSER money, and all that stuff. And so, well, when I first got into this, I was doing national shows breaking down the COVID money, right? And entrenched in as sources the COVID money was the Trevor Project. It was in, so here it's literally just the Trevor Project. And you just, welcoming, loving world. We know how that goes. Yeah. But is that meet friends, like resources, support us, is that this is a primary source, resources for talking about suicide, mental health resources, LGBT, more topic, is that it is one of the most mind-blowing, but this Trevor space, unbelievable. And I still have the apps. One is You've Got the Floor, or Give Us the Floor. And it's got a big old rainbow flag. And this is where the suicide hotline is that, and you have to start with the people that you elect, and especially you guys that don't have completely wonky donk loony libs representing you, and you can have these conversations with people. Is you need to start having these conversations, and it might be a little bit uncomfortable because of past legislation that they have voted on, or even school board members or boards of supervisors, because what people have thought for a very long time, and the confrontation that something they may have done or passed is adverse to what they actually believe in. Remind them that humility is the ability, and what could potentially save their seat in the future is having the humility to admit they were wrong and be willing to fight to reverse it now that they know better. And that's how we save this world, is for people having not covering it up, because every single politician that I have spoken to that is real, like John McGuire, Amanda Chase, not on here today, but a friend of mine, but still voted on some really bad legislation. You admit, I did not understand this fully. Now that I do, I'm going to be the spearhead to get this away. That's how you show people that you deserve that seat. And but these conversations have to be had, because as Bryce Reeves told me when Mike ran against him last Senate election, is that, well, none of us know, we have never really had anybody in the education wheelhouse. That's your excuse for all of the horrendous stuff, is that none of you took the time to learn what you were voting on. No. And that's BS, by the way, Bryce. But you've been sitting there longer than you, just like Creeds, need to have a term limit. But that's their excuse, is, well, I didn't understand it. Then I can't process. These are children you're talking about.
I've never seen so much on suicide in my life.
Yeah.
Ever. Or LGBTQ. This blows my mind.
Well, it's our fault, because I don't know if you've heard this. What they tell parents is, would you rather have would you rather have a dead daughter or a living son? That's how parents against this what they're told. Get guilted into it. I'm sorry, but I understand that before you started doing this, I had friends, we all had tomboy girlfriends, or slightly, I had bi friends, I had some good times in college, I'll just leave it at that. But everybody has had questioning, whatever, but historically is that by puberty, and at a maximum by 18, the amount of children that are questioning, they have worked it out all of history, and it's that until, and then there's a layer of pornography. pornography does produce bisexual people. Is that the pornography industry it's out of control, and so that's why it's like you have to be that parent that parents your child and says no, like you are not going to school with that mask on. That was me. No, you are. I am not. I am going to be in your school all day until I can get you out. And I was. And Chester, we have 64,000 children, and I can walk into the school board meeting, and they will still open the doors for me because they know not to mess with me. And
Charlie, we need to have Anne do this presentation for us.
But is that
this
people
is
say all
insane,
the time?
I agree.
If you will not die on the cross for your child, not just Jesus or God, if you will not be crucified and die on the cross for your own child,
right.
I can't. Is that if you are more afraid of losing your friends, a wine night, barbecues, if you have to sit at home every night alone, having no friends, with your child safe beside you, that is the greatest blessing in the world. Parents have to remember how to be parents, or what if they're my age, they may have never even known what it meant to be a real parent. Right. I didn't. I learned real quick. And once I had that love in my heart, you will have to rip it off of my cold, dead body, because I understand what parental rights are, just like most people understand what gun rights are.
I have a question. I have a question for Anne.
It's got to be quick.
It is quick. It is quick.
Because I got Wayne coming up because we have to be done at 9.
Yeah.
Anne.
Hi, Jeanette.
I was told that it is important for us to have data centers for the schools. The children need it. This is how our children are going to succeed.
Okay, you're also reading the articles that are stating now how harmful the Chromebook deployment actually is to learning. Okay, the data centers that hold the 10,000 data points per day, including your child's click rate, some are scanning their retinas. They're creating, and they have been creating AI off of our children for 15 years. Chromebook deployment. Wow. I'm convinced that coronavirus, because what appeared magically after COVID when kids weren't home anymore? Chromebooks. What went away? Books. And parents were just like, okay, is that data centers are like, pesticides. Is that it's going to be like George Bush. It's like you spray a house with pesticides and purple, it's going to seep, and you're going to have purple flakes of, EMF, whatever you want, RF. Is that EMF. It is one of those things that if people talk about being progressing towards what is the whole point of being progressive? If technology is progress, is that we are destroying ourselves in the need for progress to what? Because children can't even speak to each other. They can't, because of technology. Right. Data centers, don't call them that. Call them clouds. Because my cousin works in Boynton at a cloud, which is what they call data centers, because it sounds better than a cloud. And so they're literally massive warehouses that store your data.
Correct.
So what good does that do a child, besides probably it's going to give cancer to children? Is that why do children need this? They don't need to have their data mined to decide whether they're going to be an alpha or a gamma in the cog machine by the time they're 11 years old, because it's creating a social credit score just like China.
Yep.
And then you've got the 10 years of children we have right now who will never get a license because the data mined on them has them all codified with 15 mental illnesses. And if you want, the next time someone wants to say that to you, I will go to a meeting with you. I've gone all over this state and spoken at boards of supervisors and school boards, and I will gladly say that, not to whoever at the meeting, or if your representative said that, take me wherever they're going to be, and I will roll up to Donald Trump himself and have this conversation.
We gotta get Wayne. We gotta get Wayne on here. But I want to do a whole segment with you on this, if that works for Charlie.
Yes.
Let me know when. Hi, Charlie.
I will touch base with you tomorrow morning, and we will get this thing up and running. I need to know more about this. And thank you so much.
Call me tomorrow.
Wayne.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, Jeanette. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Oh, God, I love her. Brother Wayne, all yours, my brother. Take us out. We got till 9 o'clock.
And
Yeah,
stop
I see
sharing.
that. And
That's
Anne brought up,
serious stuff. Whew.
thank you for having me on. I got here late. Anne brought up some things about authority.
Yeah.
And I thought I would bring that in as a topic. Actually, it's the solution to our problems. And we have rebelled against divine authority. The founders recognized that there was a providential being over everything that they were about to do with regarding declaring the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And going back to the covenants, which the background that I have on my pick is that Los Lunos site, there is the covenant etched on that stone and predates the Constitution, predates the Declaration, predates the Mayflower Compact, and even the Jamestown Compact. But I wanted to read two verses about ultimate authority. And in essence, the reason why we're in the problems today, morally and faith-wise, is because we've rejected divine authority. Psalm 24 says, the earth and everything in it. Hello? Everything in it, it says, belongs to the Lord. Lord is in all capital letters. That's the translator's way of covering over his covenant name. The ancient Paleo-Hebrew reads Yahuwah. So it says the earth and everything in it belongs to Yahuwah. The world and all its people belong to him. Case settled. Now there's one verse. The other one is in the book of Sirach. You guys will say, where is Sirach? It's sometimes called the book of Ecclesiasticus. It was in the Catholic Bibles. It's also in some Protestant Bibles. It's those books that are in between what we call the Old and the New. But they have an enlightening verse that goes with the one I just read, with the authority listed as the Almighty, who's he owns everything. And it says in chapter 10 of the book of Sirach, verse 4, the government of the earth is in the hands of the Lord, or Yahuwah, and over it he will raise up the right man for the time. So he is the ultimate authority over all, and within his economy or his sphere, he has four primary roles of authority, and I'll leave you all with this to ponder. The first one is the individual role. That is you. Look in the mirror. You have authority over your own life. You make your decisions if you can, unless you're in prison. But he gave us that right and privilege. But overall, of you as an individual, that individual role, he is over you. Okay? The second role he put in society is the family role of authority, which consists of a father and a mother and the children. And the father is the head of the family. Right. All right. He and the wife work together. We say, well, brother, I'm not married. I don't have a family. All right, then just stick with the individual role with you. The third one of authority is the faith community role, ROLE. And you will have people that are placed in there that should be governing under the authority of Yahuwah. And then finally, you have the civic or the governmental role of authority. Schools will be included in that. Anything on the civic level, there is an order, and all of that should flow under the authority of the Almighty. And he's placed his authority, he's given complete authority and rule to his son.
Love listening to Wayne.
I mentioned that at the end of Matthew, all authority and power has been given to me. Okay, and so he's ruling now, and when everything is brought under his feet, he's going to give it back to his Father, and then the kingdom will be all in all under the Almighty. And I'll say hallelujah to that. So we need to recognize authority and cause that to be restored. You say, well, how do I do that with all these four, the individual, the family, the faith, and the And the governmental role will start with yourself, the individual, and then we can branch off and work it in the family and branch off eventually into the last one, which is the government or the civic role. So that is a little bit about authority. We do have authority, and all of these protests that are saying we have no king,
We do.
they're referring to Donald Trump, but in essence, that's what the Pharisees said, that said, we have no king but Caesar. In other words, rejecting the Messiah. We don't want to go down that path. We want to recognize his authority and bow the knee to him. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll leave it at that.
Wayne, that is incredible. I want you to do me a favor. We have a couple minutes left. We can probably close up a little early, but I would love you to have you take us out with a prayer. Could you do that too?
Sure.
Folks, thank you for everybody being here. Go to mtnpats.com, put your information in there, and let's get things rocking and rolling. And thanks for being here. And I'll turn it over to Wayne to close us out.
Father, we thank you so much, Heavenly Father, the Almighty, who rules over all. We are so blessed that we can gather together like this on a Zoom call from afar and near. Thank you, Father. We repent of the sins where we let down the torch, the light of your word, and cause the enemy to come into all sorts of aspects of our lives, our society, and especially, as Sister Anne was saying, our children.
Yes.
We ask that you have mercy on us as a commonwealth and as a nation, to turn our hearts individually and to turn our ways back to your faithful, righteous paths stated in your word. And we bow the knee to your Son. And we thank you that he does rule over our lives. And any kind of pride that we have, any kind of sin that we have, we confess it. We ask for reconciliation to be restored and light the candle again in our hearts, that we may take our steps for you and your kingdom's sake. And it's in your Son's name we praise you. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Wayne, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. We will be in touch. I will have this out for you ASAP, and have a blessed evening. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.